I think this is key. You know, missing out on Mudryk. Have Arsenal get the better deal here in terms of the here and now? We know what Trossard can do. We don't know what the other lad can bring. And he's 50 million less, Trossard.
We know what Trossard can do playing at Brighton, and we've seen a few Brighton players that have moved on to other football clubs that haven't set their head on fire. So it's a change of gear, change of place, change of expectation.
Yeah. Economically,
it looks like the better deal. And of course, you know, you look back at the due diligence that's been done on it, because I was listening to Ollie Holt and Jonathan Liu last night on Sky talking about the amount of diligence that's being done on players in this day and age, and obviously the rise of sporting directors is starting to take away the panic mentality when clubs are buying players.
Yeah.
So you wonder. Arsenal were allegedly in for the Ukrainian boy, for some time. They did their due diligence. I wonder if the same thing is applied here. But notwithstanding that, this is a very good player, Dan, isn't he?
Yeah, he's intelligent. He can play a couple of... generally plays wide, but he's a goal threat. You know, he gets himself in good positions. His assists and goals are decent numbers, not phenomenal, but they're decent. And I think the key to this deal, when they were probably looking at Arsenal, is that there shouldn't really be, other than a change of expectancy from the crowd, there shouldn't be a transitional period, because...
He's playing with better players.
Well, he's used to playing in the Prem. And he's scored a lot of his goals for Brighton against the better opposition.
Yes.
In big moments.
Yes.
So that says to me he's got a bit about him. He's not electric, he's not particularly dynamic, but he's clever.
But better opposition will be taking Brighton in a different way, wouldn't it? They'll be attacking Brighton, giving them more space.
Yeah.
In Arsenal's position, they are now looking at Arsenal as a threat, and people start banking up and making it more difficult.
Yeah, but
does he feel a bit like Arshavin? Does he have a bit of that about him?
I know what you mean. Yeah, he's a bit different. Arshavin he was more dynamic in some respects. He had that little burst go both ways. But Trossard's somebody, pops up in spaces, plays little round corners. He's not a runner. He's not gonna burst past people like Martinelli and Saka. So he's actually given them something they don't really have.
Yeah.
You know, he could even play in that Martinelli role.
Yeah,
he's got that about him.
Were you questioning whether or not Arsenal have done their due diligence?
No, I throw it out there as a thought process, because if they wanted Trossard, why didn't they buy him?
I think he's 29.
28. But notwithstanding,
94.
Notwithstanding that, he's in a situation where he's 27 million quid. He's probably at his peak now of understanding the Premier League and his awarenesses of a footballer. So I think, prima facie, it's a good buy. But when we're comparing and contrasting against what they went for, if we're led to believe that's what they did, well, we were told yesterday that actually it wasn't just a flick of the wrist by Chelsea reacting to Arsenal. They'd been at the table for 2 months as well. So I would have assumed that if Arsenal had wanted Trossard, that they would have gone and got Trossard first. But then again, we don't know the landscape of Trossard, because before 2-3 weeks ago, he was signing a new contract with Brighton. So it's all it's all up in the air about how these situations manifest themselves. But they've got a good player.
They have. I don't think that Trossard had a future at Brighton, Simon, when he decided to head on out of the place. I mean, he exits somewhat under a cloud after falling out with De Zerbi. His agent claimed the manager hadn't spoken to the player for a month after a fallout in training. But I mean, did you ever have that at Palace? You're like, two different parties not talking to each other, and you're like, well, knock your heads together.
Yeah, of course. You have it all the time. You'll have it on training grounds and at football clubs up and down the country, irrespective of level. And ultimately what you do is you handle it in the best way that you can to affect an outcome that doesn't create division. More often than not, you can manage it, but there are significant circumstances where it gets to a set situation where you can't. And in my case, as an owner, I would always try to alight upon the support for the manager, because he was my champion. His job was to manage the players. My job was to manage him. But you get it all the time. Danny will attest to that. It happens. It's what happens. It's not necessarily confrontations. It's about outcomes. And in this instance, you've got a player probably that an agent sees has got a little bit of currency coming to the end of his contract, moves available, more interest in the Premier League. Tottenham indexed to it. Yeah. Arsenal now indexed to it. Thank you very much. I'll make some money out of this. So he probably didn't look to placate, because the agent was basically suggesting this guy's been here for 5 minutes. He's picked up Graham Potter's team, and already he's creating division by throwing his weight around with one of the star players. That's the picture the agent was painting.
Sure. I mean, it depends how you leave the club, Danny, doesn't it?
Everyone's won. He gets a better opportunity to play at a team that's going to probably win things and in a better level. Brighton have got really good money for someone whose contract's coming to an end. And Arsenal haven't taken a stupid risk with the amount they've spent on a player who's already
I would say that it's, look, if the player's a problem, which he hasn't proven to be for Graham Potter previously, he's proven to be an asset. I don't think Brighton have won they've got some economic value out of it.
Decent money,
If they could have got the player signed, he's got 18 months left on his contract, so the clock's ticking now. But if they could have got him signed to another contract, and maybe in the summer got him out, if that's what they wanted to do, or the circumstances led to that, they could have got 40, 50 million quid for him in the marketplace that we live in.
Maybe.
But I think if Brighton keep diminishing themselves by losing players, because it gets into the territory of having to keep on, not that they shouldn't, but a recruitment department's having to keep on unearthing really good players at economic values, and then of course what happens is the Southampton effect. They keep on getting sold, and eventually it'll be the sum of diminishing returns, won't it?
Yeah. You don't want to leave one club under a cloud and go to another. Did you? It never happened with you, did it?
Yeah.
When?
Once at Charlton.
Really?
Yeah, I left under a bit of a cloud.
None of you doing?
No.
Well, we guessed that.
Of course not.
No.
It wasn't.
No, of course it wasn't.
Why was there a cloud, Dan? Tell us, do tell.
Because Curbs, who was trying to do a bit of business without me knowing with Newcastle, and I went and I knew about it because I knew the manager of Newcastle.
Because you're a bit busy, yeah.
And Suey it was.
Right.
And I basically went and asked him about it. It's just, let's talk like men. Tell me what you're trying to do. No problem. We'll make, And he denied it and left me out of the team. Then I was training with the kids. And then Suey got sacked. So Curbs was kind of in a really strong position. And then on the last day of the window, Tottenham came in for me. So then we had to present a package to Charlton that basically financially, if you don't, this is what you're going to lose by keeping me until the summer, because this was January. Yeah. Because I'm not going to play for you again because of the way you've treated me.
Sure.
And they tried to say, yes, you will. And I said, no, I won't. So test me.
I'm glad I asked that, aren't you?
Yes.
Take the gamble. See what happens.
So I woke up from my slumber.
I'm glad we got
But
But you know what? I just think, on a serious note, the players, it depends on the player.
Yeah.
Craig Bellamy, people like Joey Barton made fortunes
Out creating division.
Yeah.
It's not always a bad thing to leave under a cloud.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.